Here's another. I think this is German in German too.
Let's see here. It says Webster's Dictionary.
No, maybe not. Maybe it ain't German yet. I don't know.
No, this is in English, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Hmm. It was hell. I heard of
Living hell.
living hell. Well, that was it, and nothing else. J.W. It's hard to imagine. But people wanted to fight in those days, didn't they?
Do what now?
They wanted to fight the Germans.
Yeah. I don't. Now what? Now what do you mean by
Well, I
that?
mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that war, World War II, we didn't have protesters or anything like that.
No.
People wanted to get it done with.
Them days, there was no protesting at anything. They went whatever the government, whatever Roosevelt said,
Yeah.
or Harry Truman during the war, they done what he said. That was it.
Yeah.
There was no protesting whatsoever.
Right, right. I want to.
Well, that's.
What's that?
That's just. Well, I guess it's when I made staff sergeant.
Oh
See,
yeah.
I made staff sergeant on the. Well, I'll tell you how I made mine. I made mine on the line, front.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, my staff sergeant got bumped off,
Mm-hmm.
and I was next in line.
So you were battlefield promotion.
You just stepped up and took over. In other words, they just said,
You're it.
You're it. I was the next oldest one in the company at that time. I mean, in my squad deal.
J.W. Boyd, 4417 Crossdale in Norwalk.
That's in Norwalk, yeah. That Texaco card.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I see here this pass says this pass is valid only during off-duty hours, Sundays, and holidays. It may be used only in community or communities of Los Angeles and vicinity within a radius of 50 miles from the bearer's post. And it has your headquarters at Fort MacArthur, California.
Right.
What was this for? So you couldn't take this like to Chicago or something? And
No, you couldn't go that far. You could only go 50 miles away from Fort MacArthur.
But what was it for? To get into like a club or something?
I guess I don't rightly know. I got it. I you know I've done forgot a lot about that.
Yeah. Well, you obviously didn't use it too much then.
Yeah.
Pass expires 31st of December of 46. Well, you're too late to use it now.
Yeah, too late to use it now.
Well, that is fabulous that you were able to, this stuff did catch up with you.
Yeah, that stuff all caught up with me. Of course, I got this. This was gave to me when I got discharged.
Mm-hmm.
But the other stuff that you see here was all caught up. Was caught up.
Yeah.
And in these books was gave to me. One of them probably was gave to me when I joined the outfit, and the other one was gave to me when we got discharged
Mm-hmm.
from the. When the company split up.
Yeah.
One of them's got pictures, I think, in it, ain't it?
Well, they have
none of my pictures or anything.
Yeah, one's got illustrations of, and it looks like pictures, yeah, of the history of the Timberwolves here.
Yeah.
Just like you say here, Holland, Belgium, and Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
You know, when I first went in, I was bazooka man.
Uh-huh.
The first day, we went across this field,
Right.
and we crossed some gullies, ditches, hills, and all at once we got pinned down. And I had this old bazooka.
Uh-huh.
I was had it laying by my side,
Uh-huh.
and I kept smelling fresh paint. And I thought, where in the hell is that paint coming from?
Yeah.
You know? I thought, how do you could smell that gunpowder. That's all you could smell. The gunpowder. The stink was bad over there,
Uh-huh.
because you smelled all of them. We'll say bodies. It was being burnt in these buildings and places, you know, where
Yeah.
there were fires. But I picked up that old when we started to move out. I picked up the bazooka up, and I looked at it. It had 4 bullet holes. And
Really?
that's what I was smelling. And they got in there somehow between me and that. It was just laying. I was on my belly looking out, and it was laying right on my side.
Wow.
That's where
How close it was for
Yeah.
you too. Wow.
Okay, then after that, about maybe 2 days later, they put me into the scout. Me and another kid from New York.
Mm-hmm.
He's about my age and everything. We were scouts. I was first scout. He was second scout. That's where I got wounded. And then we got pinned down. After all got back in, we got pinned down for 2 days and nights. We couldn't move.
Mm-hmm.
This kid, it was with me, was in this foxhole. We had it dug deep enough that we could just see out just over the rim of it. One morning, he got up, he crawled out of that hole. He stretched like this. About the time he raised his arm before I could grab him by the leg, a 50 caliber machine gun just cut him in two. That's just some of the story. Now, them stories I'm telling you is actually the facts.
Mm-hmm.
You don't believe it. Some things happen that you'd never believe.
Like what?
Well, like that.
Yeah.
And we was in like a forest, and we was going through that, and the Germans got zeroed in on it with their tanks and heavy artillery, and they were tearing these trees. They just tearing them apart. The splinters and things was flying besides shrapnel and all that. The splinters. So me and another kid, we had just left our foxhole. We made a run back to our foxholes, and when he dove into his foxhole in that same hole that he did in first, and I jumped in behind him, and somewhere in between that jumping in, that behind him, shell, wood or shells come through, took his pack right off of him.
Really?
Right. Now that's hard to believe. It
Yeah.
went right in between me and him. That's how close you come. As I say, we had they told us when he hit the front line, we had 7 minutes of lifespan.
Really?
Really.
That's how they
That-
calculated.
In other words, it could end in 7 minutes.
Yeah, right.
And a lot of them it did.
Boy.
I've seen it. Kids
Yeah.
coming in.
Well, they're
See,
all a bunch of kids, right? I mean,
yeah, well,
18,
well,
19, 20.
my age,
Yeah.
you know, like that. Maybe some older, but not much younger.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there wasn't any younger because I went in at 18. You know, you had that about the youngest they took, I think, at that
Right.
time.
Hmm. You know, in the Civil War, towards the end, they kept getting younger and younger and younger.
Yeah.
And they would have kids as young as 13 and 14 that
Yeah.
would beat the drums
Yeah,
or
something like
stuff
that.
like that, right?
I tell you what they did do. They started to use, you know, we had a lot of, each outfit had a lot of medics.
Mm-hmm.
I say had a lot of them. It was like my squad, that bunch of men you seen there, I had 2 medics. They carried no guns. They had the Red Cross on their helmets,
Mm-hmm.
and all, you know, patches where they could tell that they was Red Cross.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before I got wounded, they was beginning to take quite a few medics and put them on the front because we'd running short of men.
Mm-hmm.
You take that squad of men there, like I said, I lost all of my men, and the other kid did too.
Wow.
That was whatever that meant. There was that many men that night I got wounded was killed and wounded.
Wow.
We wiped us out. You know, then we was always short because you're very seldom. Maybe you had a full squad maybe for a few hours, but then they'd drop off.
Yeah. Wow.
I had a lieutenant come in over there. It must have been in must have been in Germany or something, but long last. He come into me. He just come over from the States. He was a lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
So they signed him to my outfit. He come up to me and he says, Boyd, he said, I'm a lieutenant. I said, yeah, I see. I says, and he says, you're a staff sergeant, you're leading the guys. He said, look, he said, I know nothing about fighting, only what training. He said, I'll make the best damn sergeant you ever had. I said, well, first thing you do, get rid of them bars.
Yeah.
See, you wasn't allowed to wear no kind of a patch showing what outfit you was in or what rank you was.
Yeah, right.
You just wore a uniform. That was it.
Yeah. They didn't want the bad guys to know who you
They
were.
didn't know
yeah.
what. See, if you had any rank like staff sergeant, lieutenant, stuff like that, or any kind of sergeant, if he was captured, it was bad. They really worked you over.
Yeah, I'll
Now,
bet.
private, they never done much to him.
Yeah, used another
But,
grunt.
but if you got captured and you had the rank, look out, boy, you was gonna get it.
Yeah, right. Wow. Hmm. Did you ever see the movie Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah, that was Tom Hanks played in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah. Boy, that was that really brought it home. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
where they showed them on the patrol, and the
Yeah.
one guy saluted, and he said, "Don't salute me. You know,
Yeah.
that'll let the Germans know who the boss is."
You know, you seen the movie Patton, didn't you?
Yeah.
Patton was a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was a go-getter. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong.
Oh yeah, right.
He was the kind of a guy that he wanted. He says you got to get out there. He says you got to travel. He says you got to move.
Right.
And he was a mover. Only thing I had against him is when he went in and slapped that kid with them gloves. Now he had no right to do that.
No, right.
That guy was scared. He was scared out of his. He probably was pissing in his boots.
Yeah, no doubt.
He had no. Patton had no right.
He was
to
out
do
of
that.
line, yeah.
That was his bad deal right there.
Well, he paid for it too,
Oh,
because
yeah.
he was just hoping to lead the invasion,
Yeah.
and they let him in later on, but
Right.
yeah, that was the big nick on his career.
Yeah, that was a big deal on his career. Yeah, he had no rights of doing that.
Yeah.
Because that guy, he couldn't help it. A lot of the older people in the Timberwolves, they just went berserk.
Oh,
They couldn't take it.
I can imagine.
Yeah. You take a person that was over, we'd say over 35,
Yeah.
30, 35 maybe. They just went out of it, man. They when they hit the front line and they kept seeing these dead people, they just went berserk. They was out.
Well, it's got to be horrifying.
Yeah. There they had when we went across fields and things, there was dead cattle, horses, you
Mhm.
name it, all kinds of animals. You know, where the bums had killed them.
Yeah. Damn.
It was rough, I tell you that. Even of course, I guess us young guys, we didn't have enough brains to be scared. We were scared. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, right. Well,
I was scared out of my boots. Don't get me wrong. All the time. You didn't get no sleep. You got no rest. That in my career on the front line, I was pulled off twice. One time we pulled off for a day and a night. The next time we were supposed to be able to go back into Holland
mhm.
after they had it sort of cleaned up a little, you know, for a 4-day rest. We got in there one night. We stayed there that night into like a motel. Had good beds and sleep in.
Uh-huh.
Went to bed. Got up the next morning. We had orders to hit the front again because the people that come in there had to relieve us. They got almost wiped out, so we had to go back up on the front line and take over again.
Yeah, wow.
You just it was. I believe I was in a. we took a place one night. We fought and we held up in like a barn. A lot of us did, you know, in like an old hay barn
Mhm.
in the loft. And I laid down in that hay and went to sleep. I woke up the next morning. Here was a couple of old dead Germans right down beside it. I didn't know it was dark when when they had no lights and nothing like that. We just crawled in there and
Went to sleep.
went to sleep.
Yeah.
We had guards. The guards was out. They were supposed to be watching, you know.
Mhm.
They changed every so often, so they could be watching out there.
Right. That's incredible.
Well, I'll tell you what I had, and maybe it don't sound logical, and maybe it does. I had a when I first went in the service and went on the front line.
Mhm.
I had well, I wasn't raised up to kill anybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
I had a hard time with that.
Sure.
For a few, I thought, why am I over here to shoot this guy? And he's in the same boots I am.
Yeah.
Somebody's telling him but I had in my mind it was either going to be him or me.
Yeah, right.
If I could help it, you know.
Sure.
So.
No, that's it. You know, in fact, in the Civil War, many times they thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And in fact, they would actually trade commodities. You know, hey, have you got some coffee? Yeah, you got some sugar?
Yeah.
And they would, stop the
yeah.
fighting so they could trade commodities.
Right.
And then, okay, back to killing each other.
Yeah, right. But you know what? I never went hungry because we had K rations,
Mm-hmm.
and you could pick up a K ration off of dead person.
Mhm.
All they were just scattered out. You know, if you eat yours, and you say you was every time we jumped off at a place, we got full ammunition, full hand grenades, and 2 or 3 packs of K rations
Mhm.
to do us in case we got pinned down or whatever.
Mhm.
So if you happen to be fighting along and you happen to eat all yours before, at times, you could always pick up your K ration.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would,
Now, when you say K ration, did the K have some significance?
Yeah, one of them had a can of eggs, a little, about just like a tuna can,
Uh-huh.
maybe not quite as big, but just like that, with a key, you open it up,
Mhm.
and it would be like scrambled eggs. And then in the next, it had another little can. One of them had a little can of cheese,
Mhm.
same way, and the other pack had a little can of like meat, some kind of canned meat,
Yeah, like Spam or
like
something.
Spam or something like
Yeah.
that. And it had each package had a little package of pepper in it,
Mhm.
and like a little sauce, as you could not if it were thin, it would be like powder.
Mhm.
You could sprinkle this powder on it. It had a different taste.
Yeah.
The eggs I didn't like, but the cheese and that meat, that's what I eat.
Yeah.
And then it had 3 little crackers, little long crackers about that long
Mhm.
and about that wide, and had a piece of candy in it, hard rock candy
Mhm.
of some kind. Then it had about 3 cigarettes in it.
Oh, really?
Right. Some of them was Lucky Strike, some of them was Chesterfields,
Uh-huh.
and I forget what the other one was. They had 3 different brands. You generally always got them 3.
Yeah.
One of them 3 brands.
Pall Mall, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it could have been that. But Lucky Strike I remember well,
Yeah.
and also the Chesterfield.
Chesterfield, yeah. No, those were popular cigarettes back in the day,
Yeah,
huh?
right. That was the main cigarettes anyhow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I see. I didn't meet my wife after I came out. I didn't know she existed while I was in service.
right.
I met her after I got discharged and went back home.
Uh-huh.
So
Wow. And then you got married in Texas?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
And then you moved out here?
I come out here.
Because you had already been here.
Yeah,
And
I got discharged when we came back from overseas after the German war ended over there.
Uh-huh.
We took jungle training down here in San Luis Obispo.
Mm-hmm.
We was headed for Japan.
All right. Right.
And so help me. We had training done. We were taking jungle training,
Yeah.
for that. And we had a uniform. They was issuing us in uniforms. The war ended, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, wow.
Man, you talk about somebody dreading it. I was dreading it. I was dreading going back up. I almost went to AWOL over.
Really?
I mean, when I got wounded and got well enough I was headed back to the front. I said, man, I don't know why I can.
I don't want to tempt fate again.
I don't know why I can take it or not.
Yeah.
I almost went to AWOL.
Yeah. Well.
But I had enough sense to know that you'd never get away with it.
Yeah. Right.
So I figured, well, I can never get away with it. I just well go back and see what happens. So
Yeah.
we was riding trains.
Wow. And then fate stepped in and you got a pass. Wow. Well, I guess I'm just as lucky in as much as when Vietnam, when they were just drafting everybody.
Yeah.
I got my physical. I went down there and I took it. And then right after that, they held that draft where they pulled balls out of a container that had every day of the year. And they said if you're in the first third, like 1 to 120 or so, it said start packing.
Yeah.
If you're in the second third, from like 120 to 240, it said maybe you'll go, maybe you won't go.
Yeah.
And if you're in the last third, what would that be, like 240 to 365, they said, you know, you don't have to go.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Well, luckily
Great.
for me, August 19th turned out to be number 311.
I don't blame nobody for not going and fighting. I don't care who he is.
Yeah.
I'm at that. Just think, you know, I gotta thank the old Lord I was lucky.
Yeah, you were. And, well, plus you fought a decent fight. You guys stopped Hitler
Yeah.
and Japan. Whereas the people like in Vietnam, what'd they die for?
Yeah, that's trouble, you know. And like what they're dying over for
Yeah,
now.
and right now, all that nonsense in the desert
Yeah. That's,
over there is, you know,
yeah.
all those people that died while we were in Iraq. What
Right.
for? We
Yeah.
got rid of, you know, the bad guy, but so what?
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, it's I got quite a few Timberwolf books, papers,
Mm-hmm.
magazines. You
Oh,
know,
really?
That come from my company.
Yeah.
I'll show you one. I'm gonna see. If
Yeah,
I
why
can-
don't you?
See if I can't find one of them.
Oh, yeah.